Alright, so now I'll be testing the audio. Alright, so now I'll be testing the audio. Okay, it's done. So let's get it started. Okay, I'll try to make this a quick one, but alright, no promises. Okay, so what do we have here on the ES? Right, as I've anticipated, the previous week, we're gonna have most likely a bearish week ahead. So and we got that. So right now we're heading into the final week of September. Okay, usually for the final week of the month, I would much prefer price to be traced back into the monthly range. Okay, so if you take a look at the monthly candle right here, we're right now very near to the low. Okay, so I am expecting a retracement back for the last week. Okay, and what I'm expecting moving forward would be, excuse me, would be to take out the sell stops first. Okay, so we have a relative equal lows down here, and right below that we have a weekly inefficiency right down here, which we have previously failed to reach into. Okay, so I believe this is going to be the draw of the week, the draw on liquidity for next week. Okay, right. So with that said, I'm also anticipating a deeper what do you call it, drive into this liquidity void right down here, right, which is why I have that previously noted. But right now I would just focus on this low-hanging fruit. Okay, so what I believe next week is going to do is that we are going to, in the first half of the week, we are going to take out this area of interest here, and then we're going to retrace back into the into the monthly range, ending the month. Okay, so that's my plan for next week, right? However, if the week starts off trading higher, right, like let's say maybe here or maybe even here, then I would anticipate the month to end really bearish, which means we're going to attack the sell stops at the end of the week, right? So it's either the first half or the second half, and the second half is determined by the first half of the week. So that is my um, bias heading into the last week of September. All right, so right here we have a weekly balanced price range as well as the daily balanced price range. And then as you can see right here, price is closed below the balanced price range. So, which is why I am favoring a move down first during the first half of the week, and then we get some form of a retracement. Okay, that is what I am anticipating, right? Because this BPR is going to be resistance for the price to go higher, even though we have inefficiencies above. That should be, I think that is going to be left for October, for the month of October. Okay, for further engagement into the low down here. All right, so that's my bias for the ES, for ES. Okay, and if you look, um, if you zoom in to the low time frames on the 4 hours, we have all the blocks right up here, and we have a swing high here as well. So most likely, price is just going to come back into this order block here, reprice this low, right? Just nice. It would be the low of the BPR, and then price is going to attack the sell side. Okay, that is my bias, right? So this is for ES, right? Next we have NQ. Okay, so NQ right here we have the daily balance price range, right? But do not take too do not have an ironclad view on this BPR because it had failed many times before. Okay, so right here as you can see, yes, it did prevent that rejection here, but it's kind of choppy right here, right? When it came back down, right, even though it's within this, it still closed below. So it's kind of tricky right here, okay, for NQ. But eventually and ultimately, I believe this is going to be the draw on liquidity, right? Because below here we have some liquidity void left, and then I believe this is going to be the target for October. Okay, can it do like a one straight off um, attack of this inefficiency here? Yes, it can, but it would require a lot of movement. Okay, right? So you, if you see it happen like this, then we're most probably gonna have some big events happening around the world that's going to cause the price to attack this inefficiency immediately without any form of offers to the buy side, to the sell side imbalance right here. Okay, we have inefficiencies here, right? So usually they offer a entry inside this fair value gaps, right? Either one, but I'm preferring this one. Okay, I'm preferring this one because this is in the BPR and we have the breaker as well. Okay, so I'm watching this heading into October, but that is for next week's analysis, but I'm giving it to you this week. Okay, so next week I might just repeat the same thing depending on what happens the following week. The week of um, fourth week of September. Okay, so for NQ, similarly, I am expecting a slight retracement into, let's say, about the consequent encroachment of the wick here, right? Maybe 25% would be enough because 25% would be right around the consequent encroachment of this daily balanced price range. Okay, and then price is going to attack the sell stops. Okay, that is what my bias is for next week, first half of the week. Okay, so probably Monday should be accumulation, and then Tuesday we get the high, and then Wednesday, Thursday attack the sell stops, and then Friday reverse back. Okay, that is what I'm anticipating. Right, so that is for NQ. Let's move on to DXY. Wrong chart here. Okay, I'm just going to revert back. Okay, DXY we will be using this template right here. Okay, so for DXY, what I'm seeing is that it's slowly gravitating to this high here, which is not what I really want to see if price is super bullish. Okay, but it's slowly getting there, right? So what I'm anticipating is that once price takes out this sell stops, price is going to reverse and back into this fair value gap here on a weekly, and then it corresponds nicely with this breaker. Okay, so from here it is going to continue the trend higher. Okay, that is what I'm expecting for DXY. All right, so because we have accumulation, and then we have the manipulation. Right now we have the distribution expansion. Okay, so in the next quarter, in the month of, starting of the month of October, we're going to see some accumulation and then further expansion. So this is going to be a continuation profile based on the quarterly theory. Okay, so if you want to know who I learned all this from, just head over to my Twitter. The people that I follow, those are my mentors. Okay, I learned everything from them, and everything that I'm presenting right here can be learned from them. Okay, just head over there. There's only 11 that I'm following. Every one of them is my teacher. Okay, so um, that is my um, dollar bias. So next week, I believe we're gonna attack this sell stops, and then we're gonna reverse. Okay, reverse, and then after that, higher. That is what I'm anticipating for dollar. All right. Now let's move over to HSI. Right, covering all the indices first. So for HSI, I don't really like the closure of this candle here. Okay. What I wanted to see was price expanding below this low. But when you look at this candle, this is more like a stop hunt. Okay. And this candle furthermore has closed back into the BPR right here. Okay, the gray shaded area, this is the BPR. So this candle closed back into it. I'm not really liking that, but as long as it stays below the consequent encroachment, right? Meaning closing price below consequent encroachment of this CB here, I will remain bearish on HSI. Clear enough? So unless HSI can trade and close above the consequent encroachment, my bias remains the same. It's going to be bearish. Okay, right, so this is taking longer than I want it to do so, but because the dollars we have the dollar going into a um, buy stops, and then I think we're gonna get some retracements. That means that we might get a move higher and into this inefficiency right here. So overall HSI, it's pretty much in a choppy, low probability environment, and in this environment, it's not really nice to trade. Okay, you could put it as it's a high resistance liquidity run, right? So it can come back and take out this high, trading up into this inefficiency here, and then the mean threshold of this other block, right? And then it can reverse slower. So this would be a signature of a high resistance liquidity runs, right? And usually I would try to avoid such profiles because it can be very frustrating, right? And yeah, there it is for HSI. Okay, so HSI bearish, and if it manages to take out this high and trades up into this inefficiency here, I want to see if the bearish bias remains, and if so, we're gonna see a very fast expansion lower. If we don't see that, that means it's going to be basically just trading back into the range, and then it's going to be attacking the premium of the range. Okay, so what's dealing range? It's right here. The dealing range is this parent dealing range, right? Premium would be within this area here. So from discount to premium, premium to discount. Okay, so um, nothing much for HSI for now. All right, right. Let's move on to Tesla. Right, so Tesla holding up um, quite strongly with as compared to NQ. So for Tesla, we have this area here. This is a BPR, and then we have a inefficiency right here. Okay, I'm gonna remove the box after I have indicated. So this inefficiency here, I think price is going to be supported, right? We have a volume imbalance down here with a order block. Okay, so this order block, I am assuming is going to be the last defense for the bulls, and then I want to see it trade higher once Nasdaq gives that retracement. Okay, that I've been talking about. So I think in the month of October, Tesla should attack this high, and after which I think it's going to reverse lower. That is what I'm anticipating for Tesla. Okay. Next we have Disney. Alright, so Disney played out nicely. Okay, this week played out really nicely. Right, as we have anticipated, that price has traded to this bearish order block, and a reaction should be warranted for lower prices, because ultimately we are looking at 74.08. Okay, minimum would be 78, right? 78.54. Okay, so that's for Disney. And let's see what else do we have. Palantir, nothing much. Meta right here. Right, so as you can see, it's getting supported by this PPR. Okay, which is what I wanted to see. Right, so remains to be seen for Meta. Okay, nothing much as well. Apple. Okay, let me just revise Apple. Right, so initially I got the fibs wrong. Right, and from the last time that I've drawn Apple chart, right, this is the correct. So how do I derive from these areas? The lowest close body close to the last swing high of a body close. Okay, body closure. So this is where I got the levels, 2 and 2.5, and then you see it reverses. Okay, so how far can it reverse to if it wants to go higher? If it wants to go higher, right? You have the silver bullet down here at 1 to 1.5, right? This level seems to hold down pretty well, but I am assuming that it's going to give in for Apple. Okay, so I'm looking at this equal lows down here, this lows down here, right? 170. I'm looking at this for next month, okay, or even maybe next week, but let's see. This is for Apple, right? And the final American stock, or a stock in the US exchange, I mean in the US markets, Nvidia. Right, so right here perfectly to the T, right, the -4 standard deviation to the T right here, right? You can't argue this. This is perfection. So right now I'm looking at this equal lows down here, which would be around 400, I believe. Yep, 400. And I would like to see it gravitate lower to take out this sell stops. Okay, because we have a huge inefficiency down here, and it lines up nicely with the monthly inefficiency. Okay, so I'm looking at this sell stops for next month, right? So Nvidia right here, if it takes down this low and then it trades below, and then you see a form of PD array, right? Expect that to be a really bearish scenario for Nvidia. Okay, because this is going to be a breaker, and if there is a fair value gap in the vicinity, then that is going to be acting as a strong resistance. Okay, so probably a sell program is going to kick in for Nvidia, so we shall see if that's true. Okay, so let's move on to the Chinese stocks. Okay, we have Baba here. Right. Not really doing anything, but I think generating liquidity below this sell stops, similar to HSI, really choppy. Okay, haven't really left this range here, so it's getting smaller, tighter. Okay, and I believe I'm still watching. I still have a bearish opinion on Baba. Okay, until they can trade above through year open, right? Other, other than that, I think it's just a drag low, okay, similar to HSI. So this is Baba. Okay, nothing much here to be honest. Alright, let's head over to JD. JD is more interesting, okay? So JD, I've mentioned that I'm interested in this 30.84 and this blue area here, which should bring about $30. So why this area, you may ask? Because as I mentioned many times before, this is the monthly balance the price range right here. Okay, reaching into this area, no surprise, you're gonna see some form of a retracement, right? Because this is your real support resistance. Okay, once it trades below the consequent encroachment, which I am um, waiting to see if it does, and if it does so, then I'll be looking at this lows here next at 25. Okay, so this is for JD. As you can see, respecting this breaker and this fair value gap right here, you have a high, low, higher high, high that made the low, and then the low that made the high. Okay, so these are all sensitive points of interest. Okay, and as you can see, we had a nice distribution month for JD. Okay, right, so moving on, I think the last one, I think I want to cover maybe the last two or last three. I want to include one Singapore stock. Okay, so this is SE. As I mentioned that as long as we tag 35.3, we're going to see some retracements, but looks like this retracement is kind of weak. Okay, how far can it go? Right, you can completely fill up this inefficiency right here. Okay, that is for your bad case scenario. Okay, this is SE, and then we have equal lows down here. This is the worst case scenario for backholders for this particular company. Okay, right, so moving on, we have NIO. Right, so NIO is breaking below this VC here, which I really like to see, because ultimately I'm looking at 5.81. That would be the consequent encroachment of this inefficiency right here, which I think is going to be attacked. Right, it's very close to this BPR. Okay, right, I'm just going to highlight that to you, this BPR. Alright, as you can see, it reached into the BPR higher, and then right now it's coming back down. So we might trade to the low of the BPR, which would line up nicely with the consequent encroachment of this inefficiency right here. Okay. Now, for Tesla, for NIO right here, it's really bearish. Okay, this is your breaker. We are closing below the mean threshold of the breaker right here. Okay, so this is not really a good price action if you're bullish for NIO. Alright, so on the weekly chart, okay, as you can see right here, the BPR, amazing entry here, but no one would have thought of it, huh? Okay, so broken swing low, we have this order block and this swing high, I believe. Yep, this is a swing high. So retracements into this area, further downside. That's what I'm anticipating for new, right? And I think I'm gonna cover that Singapore DBS. Right, it's been quite a while since I have covered this particular stock. Okay, so initially I wanted to see lower prices right at this area here, and because price has closed above, it invalidates the idea. Why is that so? Because it has taken out a sell stop. I've mentioned this before, right? So this is what we are seeing right now. Just returning back into the range, nothing really much. So I'm gonna remove the drawings. I'm gonna draw it again. Okay. So we have this as your BPR right now. No, I'm sorry, but this one. Why is this a BPR? It sent the price higher to attack this buy stops. Okay, right. So we have a following imbalance right here, and then it's trading up into the breaker. So this breaker right here, that should be the invalidation. If price close above the breaker, we might see price trade up into this volume imbalance right here. You're gonna highlight it in blue. Okay, and I like I like how it's engineering liquidity down here. As you can see, highs and lows are not formed like this. It forms like this. Okay, so this is going to be eventually taken out, but I want to see how it takes that out. Okay, so okay, last line of defense would be this break. I don't really want to see trade up into this inefficiency, but do understand that we are in a consolidation. Overall, we are within this dealing range here. All right. So price is just moving from premium to discount, from discount to premium. So seek and destroy basically until it decides a one direction. Right. But in the long run, I am still looking at that monthly inefficiency down here. Okay. Because right here we have the breaker and we have this inefficiency. Right. Why is this a breaker? Low, lower low, the high that made this low here. So the last up close candle, that is your breaker. Okay. So I'm really my bias is down here basically. Okay. Alright, so on the monthly, it's pretty clear that we have this order block here, and let's use the mean threshold 34.71. What's the level here? 34.79. Lines up just a little bit too perfect, so any price closures above this, that would be an invalidation. Okay, yeah, and anything below that, I am looking for lower prices for DBS. Okay, next we have Semcorp. Let's take a look at Semcorp Industries. Okay, Semcorp Industries. Right, so same thing here. The concept works. Okay, same thing here on the monthly chart. to this up close candle here, low, lower low, the high that made the low here. Okay, you pull the fibs and you're gonna get 4 right here, and then you look at the bodies of the candle. It's way too perfect. Okay, so right now Semcorps, I'm looking at this inefficiency right here on the monthly chart. Okay, but ultimately I'm looking at this inefficiency here because it lies within 2 to 2.5. I'm more interested in these areas. And then when you pull the fibs from this current dealing range, yeah, I mean 50% is down here, but let's see how it plays out. And during this all-time high scenarios, um, it can run to a few standard deviations. You may never know, right? You just have to see how price reacts to PD arrays below market price. So on a weekly, we have the low down here. We have equal lows, okay, basically equal lows down here. Okay, and then we have a inefficiency down here. Okay, so it's a very high it's very highly likely that price is going to gravitate down into this area here after trading above, I believe, this highs here. Okay, we have equal highs. Does it really need to trade up here before reaching lower? Not really, because as you can see, we have reached into a inefficiency on the daily time frame. Okay, this is for Semcorp Industries, and then we have Capel, Capel. I think it's Capel. What is that? Capel. BN for. Alright, so on the monthly chart, bodies to the swing high right here. So 2 to 2.5, I'm looking at the consequent encroachment of this wick, which would come in at right about 6.55, and best case scenario, I believe, would be this inefficiency right here and this volume balance. Okay, this area here, I'm really interested. Right, so I'm just gonna highlight it. Okay, what will it be reaching for? The buy stops above here. Right, so this would be a very nice entry, I believe. Okay, worst case scenario, it can trade below into this range here, 1 to 1.5. That will give you this inefficiency lining up nicely with the mean threshold of the breaker, and that should be the last defense for higher prices for on Capel. Okay, so this is for Capel, and lastly, let's take a look at Citrum. I heard that there are lots of liquidity up here. I mean, liquidity in terms of the trading volume. Okay. Right, so as you can see, it's generating liquidity up here. Okay. Don't really like the price action for this chart. Right, but on a weekly, yeah, I don't really like this chart here. Seek and destroy, basically. Okay. Um, let me see SIA. SIA, I think it's C67. Yep, C6L. Sorry. Now SIA, very interesting here. Okay, let's remove the drawings. Obviously it's going to reach up into this high, I believe. Okay, and right now we have this other block down here. Okay, so from this is just returning back to the high of the range, so I can't really use the fibs unless it trades above. So right now I am watching. What will I be watching? I'll just use this, the inefficiencies down here. This is for SIA. Okay, I still think that we're getting higher prices, but this movement warrants larger retracements. Okay, let's take a look at the weekly to see if we can derive anything. Lowest body close to the last swing high that took out a liquidity. Hmm. Well, I can't really gauge this. Okay, but if you were to force a bias, I I believe this would be the area of interest for SIA. Okay, and I think that's it. Let me just run through gold. Okay, so basically we are bullish on dollar for the first half of next week and bearish on the second half of next week. So gold should do something similar. Right, on a weekly chart, basically just trading inside this range here. Second destroy, nothing much going on for gold, but I believe we can trade up above here and back into the breaker. Okay. Why? Because we are anticipating dollar to attack the buy stops and then a retracement into or at the start of October. That's for gold. Bitcoin. Bitcoin right here. Alright, I'm still waiting for this low to be taken out and then trade higher into 32. Okay, nothing has been invalidated yet for Bitcoin, but as you can see, it's not a nice price action to be trading in, right? And I think that's it for this video. Let me just run through the equities to see if there's anything I missed out. Alright, I think that's it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and if you find it interesting or if you learned something from it, do give a thumbs up. And if you have any stocks that you really want me to um, do an analysis on, maybe you can just leave it in the comment section down below. Okay, I think with this I will be signing out. Right, one last look. Okay, slight variant from slight difference, okay, from this chart and the continuous chart, but I'll be using the continuous chart for higher time frame analysis week by week. Okay, for this it should just be intraday. Okay, yeah, and I think that's it for today, and I hope you have a great weekend, and good luck trading. Good luck in your investments as